Am I the asshole for choosing brother-in-law over foster brother? So, I am my parents' youngest biological child, but for a few months, they have been fostering Jonathan, 11 male. Jonathan attends a local drama club twice a week, and he's performing in his first show on Wednesday night. He made little invitations for me, my siblings, who are 33 female and 31 male, and our parents, and has apparently already told whoever is in charge to reserve us all seats. However, my sister's husband Trevor just got a promotion at work, and plans to take everyone to dinner to celebrate on Wednesday night. I've known Trevor and his family for 9 years and really like the restaurant they're going to, so I'd prefer to attend that instead. Naturally, my sister is also planning to attend her husband's dinner over a children's play. My parents are disappointed that we are not supporting their foster son, as he was so excited for us all to see him perform. My father told Jonathan that my sister and I cancelled, although we never agreed to go in the first place, and he has been miserable all day. He's been using my mother's phone to call my sister and her husband to beg them to come and to cancel dinner, and my mother has been guilting me about it. She says we can all just go for dinner another time, but he'll never have another first opening night, which I suppose is true. Am I the asshole? Edit to add, to clarify, it is not the three of us going to dinner. Trevor's entire family are coming. Trevor chose Wednesday because it was the night that worked best for everyone. My sister and I are the only ones who it inconveniences. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. 1. I might be the asshole for choosing to go out for dinner with my brother-in-law and his family instead of seeing my foster brother's play, and 2. This might make me the asshole because he was very excited to invite my siblings and I, and he will never have another first experience, while we can just go for dinner another time. For me, this one is a hard one to judge, and it's anywhere between you're the asshole and not the asshole, depending on how you view this situation. For not the asshole, you would argue that these people barely know the foster kid. It'd be no different if this was a stepchild that you didn't have any relation to because they're 11 years old, OP is 20, and the in-laws are like 30, 31 years old, so there's a gigantic age gap, and these people don't know the kid. Plus, on top of that, your parent invited you to this without your knowledge, and then they're like, oh, you're just gonna, bail on this and upset the kid? Ultimately, I'm going to go on the side of you're the asshole, or you would be the asshole if you did go to the dinner. The dinner can be rescheduled, and if you don't make it to the dinner, I think it is the right choice for you to just go and watch this foster child. Life is already hard enough being a foster kid. I don't think you should be out making it any harder. That's my opinion. Let's see what the comments have to say. You're the asshole, and brother-in-law is even more the asshole for scheduling this dinner on that night. It has the ring of passive-aggressive bio-siblings who don't like and want their foster brother. Poor kiddo. See, call me optimist, but I don't see it as it's because he's a foster brother, but because OP and the sister are now adults and have lives of their own that, unfortunately, means younger siblings, biological or otherwise, sometimes get left behind. I would agree if they weren't passing younger sibling up for a different family celebration. Again, I may sound harsh, but how is this any different than when step-siblings want to be treated the same as biological siblings when they met in adulthood and didn't grow up together and never lived together? OP and his sister are adults, and this child is 11, and they have known him for a few months. I know I'm going to get downvoted, but OP's parents signed up to be foster parents. OP and the sister did not sign up to be foster siblings. They want to live their own lives now they're adults, and so they should. Why the hell do I suddenly have to attend shitty school plays for an 11-year-old I've known for like 5 months when I'm 20? I especially feel for the older sister since we are the same age. If you are 33 years old, why are you going to drop your life for a foster child that you barely know? The parents chose to foster a kid. Doesn't mean their whole family has to deal with it. All this is your parents' fault. They are the assholes because they, A, confirmed your attendance without consulting you, B, told your foster brother that y'all were gonna go, C, lied to said brother about you cancelling when you didn't even confirm, D, instead of talking with your brother-in-law about rescheduling the dinner, made a mess of the situation. Thank you. I can't believe how incredibly cruel OP's parents have been towards their foster child. Telling him that you guys cancelled is a lie intended to make him feel bad. They are intentionally hurting him just because it might make OP feel guilty and bend to their will. I hope they don't take in any more kids after this because they do not have the child's best interest at heart. You're the asshole. Dinner could happen any night. It clearly means a lot to this kid. He even made invitations for y'all. Go to his play and bring him a gift. I know. It killed me when OP shared that the kid made invitations, and OP's like, I don't know, I'm gonna go to the dinner because I like the restaurant. I think you need to think about if you were in his situation, a new kid in a new family, and possibly even a new school. Of course he's upset that his new family doesn't want to support him and see him perform, and he's just a kid. Moving dinner to another night is not a big deal. Be the bigger person and stop being the asshole. And now onto the update. After reading the comments and messages here, even the ruder ones, I just couldn't get it out of my head that I was doing the wrong thing. I knew that either way I would be letting someone down, but as many comments pointed out, I was trying to justify having a fancy meal that I'd probably have been out of place at, knowing that it would have hurt my foster brother and my parents. So eventually I did decide to bite the bullet and go to the play. I won't lie, Reddit, my lord it was boring. And cold, since we were near a permanently open window. I wasn't allowed on my phone for 2 hours, and there were times I wish I'd just had my steak. Most of the kids didn't seem to know what was going on half the time, but Jonathan was one of the highlights. He didn't manage to remember all of his lines, but he was better than most, and he wasn't the boy who fell off the stage. The community center only served cold hot dogs, and while I would have preferred a steak, service was much quicker than at any restaurant. We went to my grandmother's afterwards, and my brother and I failed to cook, so we had to get takeout, much to my grandmother's dismay. Overall, it wasn't the worst experience, and my brother and I's attendance obviously mattered to my mother and Jonathan. My sister, however, is less than pleased with me for throwing her under the bus and making her the only person that didn't attend. She and my mother argued again about it last night, and she is blaming me for that. My original post got a mixed response and far more messages than I'd expected. To address some comments, I was unable to reschedule or rearrange the meal. I never had a say in the date or time, and I also don't have a vendetta against Jonathan because he's fostered. It is weird forming a relationship with someone you know will only be in your life temporarily, and I'll admit I'm not always the best at it, but I don't blame him for that. He's energetic and artistic, and I do quite like him, even if I found his play boring. I don't think my sister and brother-in-law have a vendetta either, nor do I think they chose that date to spite anyone. I do partially agree with some of the comments blaming my parents for how they handled this situation. I do wish they had waited for confirmation before telling Jonathan that I'd be there, but I don't think they were trying to manipulate anyone. They just wanted Jonathan to feel supported, although I still don't agree with my mother allowing him to harass my sister and brother-in-law on the phone. To the person who suggested flowers, my mother actually did buy some, although they weren't Lego, and Jonathan wasn't very interested in them. Thank you to everyone who was patient with me and offered advice. I'm sure Jonathan would appreciate everyone who wished him good luck and wanted to see the play. And now in the comments, God bless the kid who fell off the stage. Bless their little hearts. Good job, by the way. And OP says, haha, yeah, he seemed surprised by where the edge of the stage was. Wasn't hurt though. Sometimes doing the right thing by people isn't flashy or glamorous, or honestly, even fair. But you did the right thing. You did a very good thing, in fact. Well done, OP. You've shown great strength of character in being willing to listen and change your behavior, and you should be very proud of that. Not many people are able to do that. Jonathan is going to remember that you and your parents came through for him way longer than you would remember the best steak dinner you will ever have. It won't solve everything going on in his life that caused him to be in foster care, but going forward, he'll know that he was important enough for you to choose him over something else. That's huge. You made the right choice, OP. Good for you. This is the best way to put it. As someone who ran away from an abusive family, people who make you feel like you matter make a big difference in your life. Other people can be more of a family than their own blood. It may be a small inconvenience to you, but I think it meant the world to Jonathan to see that people cared enough to go. I know this probably means diddly squat coming from an internet stranger, but I'm so proud of you, OP. I think your foster brother would have been disappointed and heartbroken if you hadn't attended, and your sister/brother-in-law are grown adults who can better manage their disappointment. Most of the kids didn't seem to know what was going on half the time, but Jonathan was one of the highlights. See, that right there are the 2 reasons to go. It isn't boring if you just watch them as kids being as earnest a performer as they possibly can, and the boy falling off the stage? As long as he was unhurt and no one was mean about it, that's pure gold. I love that kid, and I don't even know who he was. And Jonathan being one of the highlights? That speaks for itself. As an adult attending a young relative's first band concert, I suddenly understood why Mum went to every one of my concerts. The squeaks and missed cues are hilarious and adorable. My sister and I laughed hysterically, although we ducked down in our seats so our relative couldn't or wouldn't see us. It was a really fun evening, actually, and I was really proud of our relative. A performance, especially a first one, is almost as scary as public speaking. You being in his corner makes you almost as awesome as Jonathan. And OP says, yeah, the boy who fell off stage wasn't hurt, but he did look very confused. There seemed to be someone in front row feeding their lines to them, as so many kids forgot their lines, and he was so busy looking at that person he didn't see the end of the stage. And yeah, Jonathan clearly put a lot more effort into it than other people did. I see why it was so important to him. And our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my son I don't like him? I love my sons more than anything. I have 3, they were all raised to respect everyone regardless of their differences. My 21-year-old and my 19-year-old have that down great. My 16-year-old, however, is bullying a gay boy in his class, and I was less than happy when I found out. His cousin told me. I gave him the chance to invite him over for dinner and apologize, but he refused. He wouldn't say sorry at all. I get it. It's embarrassing being told off in front of your friends, but I don't care. I wasn't happy with his treatment. I ended up grounding him, but it didn't seem to be affecting him at all, and he clearly wasn't learning his lesson. I contacted the family and let them know what was going on, and they agreed to meet up for dinner, and again, I gave my son a chance to apologize. He got extremely upset and angry, maybe both, and said that nobody even liked that F word. Of course, I apologized and the family left. My son and I got into a big argument when they left, where he said he wasn't sorry, and again that nobody likes this kid. I told him that I don't like him very much right now either. He got very quiet, apologized, and went to his room. I've now been told that he's apologized to the student he was bullying, and his grounding has been lifted. He is still hiding in his room, and we very rarely speak. My ex-husband said that I shouldn't have told him I don't like him, and that there is no excuse, and of course that behavior is the reason we are not together, because I can't help but be a miserable asshole. I understand that it may not have been the nicest thing to hear, but he was not listening to a word I was saying and was being a downright bully. Am I the asshole? I think the ex-husband is always going to get a biased version of the story from the son. I'm so sure the 16-year-old told an unbiased and truthful version of this story. Oh my god, very believable. But yeah, the ex-husband's comments here, very weird. That behavior is the reason we are not together, because I can't help but be a miserable asshole. I don't know, mate, maybe our behavior towards each other in this divorce led to this 16-year-old boy lashing out at this gay person and calling him all number of names, and then in 2 different scenarios refusing to apologize and upsetting them more. I don't know. Ex-husband, you don't seem to be helping the situation out much here. You seem to just be defending the boy. Saying that you don't like the son very much right now is not that deep. I'm gonna go with not the asshole. It solved the problem. He learned to have some empathy. He's like, oh shit, I don't like how this is making me feel. Maybe I'm making that person feel this way. I should change. And he did. I'm currently just very angry at the ex-husband because I hate divorces and the way that people twist things. That just, god damn it, I hate that so much. Anyway, comment time, smiley face. Not the asshole. This sort of behavior has to be stopped, and it seems you've managed to effectively stop it. You've told him that you didn't like him right now. Well, at that time he was acting in a very unlikable manner. He's doing some soul-searching right now. Let him be, he'll talk to you when he is ready. And OP says thank you. My mother once told me that I was being ugly. I was like 12. I went and hid outside all day and then gave her the cold shoulder. She didn't seem to care. When she finally asked, I told her she said I was ugly, and then she explained how I was acting ugly and I didn't look ugly. I still sulked, but it sunk in. 20 years later, I still remember the lesson. I didn't get along or understand my mother until I had my own child. It may be the same for your youngest, but you did the right thing. It's okay. He knows you love him. I'm from the South, and it has not occurred to me once until this moment that ugly is not a synonym for hateful or mean anywhere else except here. I don't think I've ever called someone ugly and actually meant unattractive. My oldest son was bullying his brothers, and I told him the same. I needed him to understand that you can't expect even family to want to be around you when you treat them badly and to not take them for granted. Same goes for just acting like a crap person in general. He immediately made efforts to change his behavior, just as your son seems to have. The results speak for themselves. Your son will come around, let him know you were proud of him for apologizing. And OP says, thank you. I've certainly told him I'm proud of him for apologizing about 100 times now. Just as a note, and I think it is important for you to hear, I had a teacher who used to tell us, we may have to love our family, but that doesn't mean we have to like them. You love your son and you care about him growing into a good person, but that doesn't mean you have to like him or his actions all the time. Acknowledging that his behavior can create adverse reactions, even from the people who love him, is important. You are not the asshole at all. And now on to the update. A lot has happened since I made my post, so I figured I'd just pop in to let people know how it unfolded. I have had a little chit-chat with my son to get to the bottom of his behavior, and it turns out he had asked his victim on a date and was turned down. Instead of acting like a normal human being, he decided to be spiteful and started bullying the boy. He's still making up for it, and we've had a talk about consent and the fact that nobody is obligated to date him. He knows I understand he was hurt, but he should have spoken to me. After all, it's what I'm here for. My ex is also openly homophobic, and he no longer wants to visit him on weekends, so hopefully his father will no longer make such a great impression. I also want to thank everyone for their kind words to this mama who thought she had handled a tough situation very, very poorly. I appreciate all the kindness. And there were some additional comments by OP, namely, his friend group is usually pretty sweet, and apparently we're not involved in the torment at all. His best friend is female to male. I don't understand his singling out this one kid. My ex had words about the pushing and shoving, but not about the verbal abuse because he believes it's free speech. The message definitely sank in for my son. I asked to see his browsing history a little earlier when someone suggested it. He wasn't happy, but he didn't say anything. It was a little odd, but nothing serious. Just regular stuff, you know? Men with dogs on Google Images, stuff about the war, clothes stores, Wattpad, XXX rated sites, obviously, and about 100 visits to his victim's Instagram page. You know, just your typical run-of-the-mill, well-adjusted behavior. And I haven't heard it from my son himself, but I've been told he's now being very kind to the boy that he was tormenting, saves his seat in class, and makes sure nobody calls him names anymore. I think the message sunk in, and I'm glad it did. And now in the comments, I love you but I don't like you isn't uncommon in fights around here. We are all adults. It helps reinforce that we are having a problem and we're upset by choices and actions, and when this is over, we are going to be okay. It's a paper cut, not a stabbing. And edit, this blew up a little, so to clarify, this is a tool from therapy that has been discussed as a way to shortcut a conversation while we're arguing. A reminder that whatever is happening isn't world-ending, and we still love them beneath anger we acknowledge as temporary. Building the tools to express yourself while mad can happen while you are calm and collected. Learn to fight productively. Yep, that's what my mum used to say to me growing up, with a right now after the I don't like you part. I think it's important to learn that just because someone loves you doesn't mean they have to like the things you do or say, and that you should try to be someone worth liking. My oldest son is a sweet kid most of the time, but with his brother, he likes to find whatever annoys him most and just run with it until his little brother explodes. He thinks he's funny and just joking. I told him he's tormenting his brother and not being funny. He brushed it off as me not having a sense of humor. The last time he did it, my youngest blew up and locked himself in his room, and my oldest is sitting there chuckling about him not having a sense of humor. He was shocked when my filter dropped, and I told him flat out he was being an asshole and was bullying his brother. I guess it sunk in because he apologized to his brother and has quit being a jerk for the most part. Sometimes you just have to be painfully honest with them. I get so angry when the parents of the bully ask for an opportunity for their child to apologize, because unless that bully is truly ready, it's just the parents asking for another opportunity for the bully to traumatize the victim. If I were the parent of a victim, there is no effing way I would allow any contact between them. The other parents ask us to come to dinner? No way. I got in a fight with another girl in grade school because she was verbally bullying me, and our parents insisted we should have a play date. I was so mad. At my house? She's gonna come in my home? My safe space? I wouldn't have wanted to go to her place either because I'd have felt trapped. My mum and I had a big fight about it, and mum promised to keep a close watch, and I was really standoffish when she got there. It ended up being okay, and while we were never friends, I think she did start to see me as a real person, and she never joined in on the bullying when other kids did it. We were probably 8 years old, but I would never do it to my kid. And OP had replied to a commenter regarding this, saying nobody had to convince anybody. I asked his parents, they asked him, and he said yes. He felt like he deserved an apology for the torment he was putting up with, which he absolutely did. However, I agree that she should have made sure that her son was ready to apologize before doing this. And the other boy kept the secret that the bully had asked him out too. Bravo, other kid. That kid knows we don't out anyone, but wow, that is a tough one to keep. I mean, you don't do it, but at that age, with that level of torment, bravo. Our next post is titled, Ontario. I caught my neighbor's son stealing my underwear and other things. Family refused to believe me or my landlord and is threatening to sue me for slander. What can I do? So, I'm in Ontario, Canada. Moved into the apartment at the start of January. Since then, I have been convinced that someone is stealing my underwear, bra, etc. Every floor has a pair of washer/dryer units, and since moving in, I have had almost a dozen different things just disappear from the wash or dryer. The room is so tiny that there is nowhere to sit, aside from sitting on top of one of the machines, so it makes it very hard to wait for it. 2 weeks ago, I went and bought a bunch of new things, and when I went to go remove stuff from the washer, I noticed that several things that I had just bought went missing. Armed with this, and the fact it was early Saturday morning, I went to our landlord, and she was able to tell me that during the 35 minutes of washing, the only person who entered was my next-door neighbor's son. Now, at this point, I was furious and confronted the parents. The parents called me a liar and basically told me off. They absolutely refused to believe me. However, since confronting them, I have had nothing go missing since then. Today I put laundry on and started cleaning my unit. When I went to drop trash off, I checked the laundry and discovered our neighbor's son going to the dryer that I was using. I again confronted the parents, and they immediately started screaming at me for harassing their son, and threatened to call the police on me for harassing their son, and then threatened to sue me for slandering their son by implying that he is a pervert. My question is, does this count as theft, and can I go to the police and file a complaint? I don't want my clothing back at this point. And now in the comments, quote, I went to our landlord and she was able to tell me. How did she know this? And OP says, sorry, our building has a video camera on each floor in front of the elevator. The laundry room is right next to it. She was able to fast forward the time in which I dropped my clothing off and was able to determine that it was only him. Outstanding news for you. For your neighbor's kid, not so much. Call the cops. This kid needs help, and the only way to force it, given the actions of the parents, is to get him into the justice system, unfortunately. Make the report and ask your landlord to save the footage. There's your proof right there. Report it, tell the police, you have proof. This is some Russell Williams beginner level crap. File your report, let the police give him a good talking to, and file charges if necessary. The kid will probably get theft under $5,000 and community service, but more importantly, you can use a judgment in your favor to recover the cost of replacing your stolen goods, because it's pretty clear in this case you do not want the originals returned. And now on to the update. Thank you to everyone for pointing out I was an idiot and I should have called the police to make a report. A long story short, I went to the station, made a report, gave them all the evidence I had, along with showing them a copy of the security camera footage of both incidents that my landlord was kind enough to send to me. The police officer didn't seem to really care from my impression, but he made a report. No one to my knowledge ever came out or anything. Anyways, today the father and son came to my door, and he basically apologized for accusing me of lying and made his son apologize to me too, which was awkward, and gave me a bag consisting of my clothing. I told him I didn't particularly want that stuff again and was going to throw it out. Just the idea of keeping it made me disgusted, so the father kindly gave me the cash value for a rough estimate of the items and then some, then told me if stuff goes missing to come to him first. I'm satisfied, I guess. The entire situation seems extremely uncomfortable and awkward. And now in the comments, when your child is accused of something like this, I understand the instinct to go all mama and papa bear, but you have to consider that your precious baby is not perfect and really look into the issue. Some things just cannot be ignored. Kudos to dad for stepping up before this behavior escalated. Mom is not helping her son one bit. What's worse is they probably had previous or similar incidences. Reminds me how defensive a father got when I finally caught his son smearing feces in the bathroom of the indoor pool that I managed after 3 consecutive Thursdays. The father was the coach of the baseball team that practiced on Thursdays on the field next to the pool, and he got defensive real fast when confronted, and we pretty much said none of the players are welcome without a parent escort. Ugh, this happened to me. Except for no closure because there was no camera laundry room. Someone picked through my laundry and stole every piece of my underwear, and I've only washed bedding in the laundry room since then. Sad. It's unsafe to even wash your underwears. I find this behavior from the neighbor's son to be extremely unsettling. Yes, it could just be a horny teenager, but it also could be the beginning of escalating behavior. In Canada, there was a high-profile sexual predator who started off by breaking in and stealing underwear and then escalated to sexual assault and then murder. Make no mistake that the son is getting off on the thrill of invasion and theft, and that they belong to a woman that he sees but doesn't know. I hope the father gets the son some help because this is worrisome. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to leave it today. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.